Le Tour de France.
Never be the flinch.
Monsieur, où est la boulangerie?
Il est là,
Ouais.
200 mètres.
Bienvenue tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, je te parle de the Tour de France. Alright, I've had enough of that. I'm not going to be doing this whole episode in French, but we are going to be doing a Tour de France preview today, so it is sort of more on a French theme. And I'm going to be trying to keep this pretty succinct, just trying to give you as much information as possible in about a 10-minute episode or so. So let's dive straight in. According to the YouTube algorithm, I should start off by talking to you about the GC favourites, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We've got Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard, and unlike other media outlets, I am not going to be talking to you for half an hour as to who is the better of the two. The reason why they're the favourites is because Jonas Vingegaard has recently won the Criterium de Dauphiné, a key warm-up race for the Tour de France, by 2 minutes and 23 seconds. It's the biggest margin of victory since 1993. So Jonas Vingegaard is pretty much just going to slap the field, apart from possibly Tadej Pogacar, who has been a bit AFK, apart from going and smashing some poor other Slovenians in a uphill time trial where he won the national championships. And also Tadej Pogacar is just quite frankly an assassin on a bike. He will literally steal bonus seconds away from a small child if he has the opportunity to do so. And I'm not going to sit here and explain to you why these guys are the favourites, because that is going to be wasting your time and it's going to be wasting my time. So I think what's more interesting is to go and talk about who's going to be fighting for third place in this race. The person who's leading the fight for the third place of the podium is currently Jai Hindley, according to the betting odds, because he is a rider who has won a Grand Tour in the shape of the Giro d'Italia, where he beat Richard Carapaz. Ineos Grenadiers, who are the ones who seem to be taking the third place position in the last couple of years, are looking pretty shite at the moment, so they probably won't be featuring up there.
Say it with your chest!
And outside of Jai Hindley, there's also his Australian counterpart, which is Ben O'Connor. He, of course, finished 4th place in the 2021 edition of this race, and he looked very good at the Criterium de Dauphiné, finishing in 3rd place. Finishing in 2nd place in that race was Adam Yates. However, he'll be more than likely working for Tadej Pogacar. His brother Simon Yates hasn't done a good GC performance since 2018. And then outside of them, you've really got maybe a hopeful Enric Mas, Richard Carapaz, who of course has finished on the podium of this race before. And then you have the French contingency of Romain Bardet and David Gaudu, who will once again probably be letting down French fans this year by not finishing on the podium of the Tour de France, because David Gaudu looked pretty shit at the Criterium de Dauphiné for some reason whatsoever. Apparently he was breaking up with his girlfriend or something like that.
That's not gone well!
David Gaudu looked good at the Paris-Nice earlier this year and had a lot of us, including me, in a lot of hype that he might finish on the podium, but his performance at the Dauphiné is leaving us wanting, to be honest with you. And Bardet is an enigma, and you never know what you're going to get. The only thing that the French might get out of this race is a potential stage win from Thibaut Pinot. That would probably be the icing on the cake for them. There's also Barry Victorious, who of course, with the very sad passing of Gino Mader, will be looking to try and get something out of this race. I expect it will be probably the Team GC prize, but I don't think that guys like Mikel Landa and Bayo Bilbao will really be contesting too heavily in the GC battle. And that's it really. Moving on to the green jersey competition, there is of course Wout van Aert, the rider who won this competition last year. However, because of perhaps an ill-timed pregnancy, he might have to leave the race early to be with his wife for the birth of his child, which, to be honest with you, Wout, is a pretty good move. I would probably recommend that you be there at the birth of your child. You can't really say that's a really bad decision. So outside of him, there is also Jasper Philipsen. He is currently seems to be the favourite to be winning this, considering that he won 2 stages last year, and he's been looking pretty fast this year, alongside another key sprinter who is Fabio Jakobsen. He has been also very strong. These two are really trading wins at the recent Baloise Belgium Tour. And outside of them, there's also Dylan Groenewegen, who went to the Tour of Slovenia to beat up some B-tier sprinters, and he might also be the one who is really in the fray here. Outside of them, there's Biniam Girmay, who will be hoping for a bit of lumpy terrain to try and gain some green jersey points ahead of some of his more flat sprinter counterparts. And there's also Mads Pedersen, who left the Giro d'Italia early and therefore should be in pretty good shape. Caleb Ewan has looked pretty naff this year. However, you can never really count Caleb Ewan off. I think that he'll probably win a stage, but not really too much else. And then there's also the debutant for a Grand Tour, which is Sam Welsford from the track, so we'll wait and see if he can ride around in anything other than a velodrome. And then moving on to the Maillot à Pois, the polka dot jersey, which is what I am representing here. It's kind of hard to say who's going to be going for the Maillot à Pois, because sometimes people fall out of GC and then go for this competition. However, given the nature of how this competition works, which is that a lot of these points need to be on offer on the categorised climbs at the end of stages to mountaintop finishes, it will more than likely go to either Tadej Pogacar or Jonas Vingegaard. However, that is boring and shit, so therefore I will give some other suggestions, such as Felix Gall, who won a stage at the Tour de Suisse but is probably not good enough in GC to go and contesting things like that. Tom Pidcock, who was talking in the Netflix TV series that he found the last Tour de France pretty boring, just doing his domestique stuff, so perhaps he might just be allowed to go into the break and just kind of appease himself that way. If David Gaudu does bad in terms of GC, that you might see Thibaut Pinot going in and trying to get the polka dot jersey like he did in the Giro d'Italia earlier this year. And outside of them, you could really pick anybody. Perhaps somebody like Julian Alaphilippe might try and repeat what he did in 2018. But to be honest with you, Alaphilippe is probably going to be too busy showing off and pulling faces and doing things which aren't particularly productive to actually winning the race. Perhaps because he runs into a motorbike really stupidly. That's just what I'm saying. The white jersey competition, like I say, will probably be won by Tadej Pogacar. So he will be raking in all the jerseys this year. Of course, Jonas Vingegaard is not in the running for that competition anymore, so realistically it will probably go to Pogacar, but there's also Carlos Rodriguez, Tom Pidcock, but he's not really a GC rider, and is that it? That's it. If Tadej Pogacar doesn't win the white jersey, it will have to be because he's DNF the race. Of course, I am going to be doing a stage-by-stage breakdown. So, of course, we have... Where is the Tour de France website? I can't see my cursor. It's too bright. I want to see the route. For crying out loud.
Oh, for God's sake!
So, according to the Tour de France official website, we have, for the stages, we have 8 flat ones, 4 hilly ones, 8 mountain stages with 4 summit finishes, 1 individual time trial and 2 rest days. That was a real flurry of numbers going my way. Basically, there's going to be a lot of different types of stages. I am going to be now doing a stage-by-stage breakdown as to how each stage is going to be going. I know I will not be spending 10 minutes on each of these. I will try and be spending about 10 seconds. Stage 1 will be a dick swinging competition between the biggest riders in the peloton, as will Stage 2 because they have very similar profiles. Stage 3 will be a sprint. Stage 4 will be a sprint. Stage 5, which was the stage which was almost won by Mark Hirschi back in 2020 when Mark Hirschi was just amazing rider. This will probably be won from a GC rider, more than likely. Stage 6 will probably be won by a GC rider as well. Stage 7 will be a sprint. Stage 8 will be a bit of a tougher sprint, probably won by Jasper Philipsen or Mathieu van der Poel or Wout van Aert. Stage 9 is at the Puy de Dôme, the very mythical volcanic stage. That'll be a GC day. Stage 10 will be a breakaway day. Stage 11 will probably be a sprint, could be a breakaway day. Stage 12 will be a breakaway day. Stage 13 will be a GC day up the Grand Colombier. Stage 14 will probably again be a GC day. Stage 15 will probably go to the breakaway before we go into a rest day, and then we have a stage 16 TT, which will just be won by a GC rider. Stage 17 finishes up just over the other side of the Col de la Loze, so that'll be a GC day. Stage 18 will be a sprint. Stage 19 will probably be for the breakaway. Stage 20 could be a breakaway or a GC day, and then of course stage 21 around the Arc de Triomphe around Paris will of course be won by a climber. I'm joking. It'll be won by a sprinter, more than likely. Whichever one can be arsed trying to get over all the mountains. The main GC fights will probably be happening on stages 9, 13, 14, 16, 17, and maybe 20. So there's quite a lot of GC action going on, not very too much in the first week. You'll have to wait for the GC action. You just have to suffer through the first week or something if you want to see, you know, the pure Vingegaard versus Pogacar battle. And speaking of those two riders, let's go into the predictions. It wouldn't be a preview without the predictions. I think that the winner of this race will be Tadej Pogacar. I think that having Adam Yates in this team as well, you could see a scenario where UAE do to Jumbo-Visma what Jumbo-Visma did to Pogacar last year on stage 11. I think that you could see a repeat of that. In second place will therefore be Jonas Vingegaard.
Which jersey is the blue one?
And in third place, I think will be Jai Hindley. It's pretty basic, it's pretty boring, I'm sorry, but the Tour de France generally tends to go in a very predictable and boring fashion outside of people crashing, which hopefully nobody does. The green jersey competition, however much I want to go with something safe like Wout van Aert or Jasper Philipsen, I will instead say that Dylan Groenewegen will win the green jersey. I think that he's looking pretty fast. The white jersey will of course go to Tadej Pogacar, and the polka dot jersey, just for the sake of variety, I could say Pogacar, that's the obvious choice, but I will go with Tom Pidcock instead. The team classification will go to Bahrain Victorious in honour of the fallen Gino Mader, which is very sad. His loss is still echoing through the peloton. But that is a Tour de France preview. It's probably not the best one, but it's probably not the worst one. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys are thinking. Of course, I didn't want to waste your time with a really long preview, so here we are. And, all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, enjoy the Tour de France, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut!